Uh, in fact, I would not like to take much of your time, and I would just observe a couple of things. I was very much involved with the e-voting in Gujarat when it was introduced. As Mr. Jyoti had said in his speech, how it was developed and how the state government was committed. See, all this discussion I enjoyed because there was some conversation on so many aspects related to implementation problems. The most important factor sometimes is when we implement a difficult proposition is the will of the government, and that was there at the time in 2010 because it meant that we have to provide in our act and in our rules provision for e-voting, and that was done, and thereafter the state government and the state election commission has been committed in implementing. I was involved in sanctioning as the procurement committee chairman the entire project. There was one mention of cost, etc. I mean, I must tell that this was an infrastructure cost. It is one-time cost, which was done initially. So we cannot calculate. I mean, that's a very layman method of calculating what was the per voter cost and all. It is the entire expenditure which was done was for the infrastructure which is going to survive throughout. Now, we are very much committed as a Gujarat state. As Chief Secretary, I have also promoted the entire thing. The Junagadh Municipal Corporation selection was held and e-voting was fully implemented because in 2010 we had implemented it ward-wise on a pilot basis. We implemented in Junagadh election fully, and thereafter, now when I am in the State Election Commission, when this forum is there, we are talking of internet voting. We shall be conducting in October all municipal corporation election through e-voting. We have got 6 municipal corporations and about 1 crore of voters are going to be involved, and that will be the first when we will be having e-voting. We have also made several changes. We are also launching a mobile app for registration purpose. We have realized that everyone cannot afford a laptop or a desktop which are allowed for e-voting. So we are going to develop e-voting booths where if anyone does not have a desktop or a laptop, cannot afford, he can go to the e-voting booth and cast vote. So these are few changes. In fact, we have brought TCS here to give a presentation of what is happening. Thank you very much. Please.
Thank you, sir. Just one clarification. I was with Tata Consultancy Services when I executed this project. Now I have moved on and I am with ILSS and ENCODE. Just a semantic correction. So coming on to the presentation, you have all seen the journey of ballot paper, electronic voting machines and online voting. There are many challenges. In the interest of time, I'll skip few of them. Stakeholders, most of you understand the stakeholders. They were the implementing agency, the Urban Development Department and the State Election Commission. Implementation journey, we started off in January 2010 and the elections were to be held in October 2010. So we had only 10 months to do all the regulatory changes, create setups, get it audited, and fortunately or unfortunately we had a High Court PIL also contested at the same time. So we're all there. So coming to the basic system, as you can look at it, there were 4 things that we used: smart card readers, desktops, and ROs, the returning officers of the ward, were the designated users of the system. And we allowed citizens to cast their vote from their residences. So there was an online voting website where the people can really look at the data. But there was a pre-voting exercise where a voter who wanted to exercise his rights to cast vote electronically had to make positive declaration and was verified physically by the ward officer before he was granted the credentials to be a part of electronic voting, and that implied that his name was struck off the manual voter list so that he can't go and cast his vote from the other thing. And then once his registration was done, There was a detailed process which I'll come into this. On the date of voting, the person was able to cast the vote. Few questions that have been raised, and I'll answer them very straight. Because of High Court PIL, the entire project was, we took a very conservative approach. We wanted to be dead sure and right rather than fail, and hence controlled the implementation. First step was that we asked the voters to register, and by registration, we also asked them to give their machine IDs. By asking the machine IDs, we have logged a voter to that particular machine ID. The second question that was raised, how many votes can be cast by that machine? Can a political party set up a private polling booth? The answer was possibly yes, and hence we also forced an artificial control of limiting 6 votes per machine IP. And there was a third constraint, that assuming somebody cracks that as well, we also reduced the speed of casting vote, that you cannot cast a vote you cannot cast a second vote in less than 20 minutes. That means if a vote has been cast using a machine IP, the second vote can only be cast after 20 minutes. Implies that we are just trying to minimize the risk. The fourth and the fifth were the administrative measures that the State Election Commissioner invoked some powers that he had under the Information Technology Act, and also alerted and directed through DOT the internet service providers to monitor the traffic and identify where the votes and machines were coming in. So these were some of the items, but to start with, and just to clarify further, that we use CETL technology. TCS partnered with CETL, so the backend platform is of CETL. It had end-to-end security, voter registration, strong authentications, privacy was ensured through the mixing process, and in fact we use digital signatures also at the client end. So what happened is, a voter registered, sent a request. Once the request was accepted, after physical verification of his credentials, we sent the voter a link on his email ID, and the password was on a second channel through an SMS. The moment he activates that link, we were planting the digital signature of the voter on that particular machine. And thereafter, on the day of voting, when he uses the system, the digital signatures were used. So voter verifiability was done by issuing him a receipt after the vote casting. Integrity of the election results were ensured using cryptographic techniques of CETL. And we created an electoral board at the ward level. So 3 officers, the returning officer, the assistant returning officer, and the third person was a nominee appointed by SEC, who were controlling the election at a ward level. And it was necessary that 2 of the 3 should be present to activate the start of the voting process, close the voting process, open up the ballot boxes on the day of counting, mixing, and so on and so forth. And we definitely provided a bilingual interface. I think a lot of things has been talked about. So we had user name, password, and digital certificate as the first level. Password through SMS was the second level. Vote encryption using digital certificate was the third level. Secure voting environment was created by voting client. A Java applet was planted when he clicked the link that we had sent him. Patented cryptographic technologies were used from CETL. Splitting the roles and access control to what electoral board was also ensured by 3 people board at every ward. Mixing process to dissociate, and voters' verifiability of vote casting through receipts. We used HTTPS system hardening, firewalls and intrusion prevention systems, live monitoring of the entire infrastructure, built-in redundancies, and we also suspected that there could be attack. And we did get 3,000 attacks in the first 10 minutes, which we could identify with the help of some security tools, as well as with ISPs, and we were able to successfully block them. Though Madam asked me a question, do you believe that there was no 3,000 first attack? The answer is yes, we believe, but we definitely can't be very sure about it. But definitely what we also kept as a backup was that in case the system was attacked, all those votes that were casted 1 second before that were protected by a zero data loss system that we created in NDR, which was very close to the building that we were having. Of course, we had all those things, EQDC certifications, 5 minute of time interval, binding voters with the computer using MAC address, limiting number of voters to 6 on the same, and SMS password validity of 15 minutes. So these are the 3-step process of online voting: online registration, account activation, and casting vote. So we had some challenges in this, and this is the reason why in the first phase the number of votes casted on the system was low. But as I said, it was a very, very conservative approach with an open eyes because of the High Court PIL and the interest that the judicial forum was taking to ensure that there are no problems in the system. So we wanted name, address and all of it, but now we have replaced the system by asking them just give us your EPIC number and end of the story. So we are trying to minimize the user irritation in registering for e-voting. They have to go on to a portal, fill up the EPIC ID, all the information will be captured, pre-populated. Once the application is approved, he will get the credentials. If the application is not approved, he will get a message that you go on and proceed with your manual voting. So this is an online registration form that we are displaying. Now the additional, what are the learnings of the previous thing? One, we made voter registration a cumbersome process. As I said, deliberate, cumbersome process because we wanted to be dead sure about what we are doing. But now we are opening up and saying, fine, we'll allow registration for e-voting through a smart application. Though the vision is, can we allow casting vote also through a smart application? The answer is probably yes, but not at the current point in time. We are experimenting, we are taking some bold initiatives. As somebody will have to take someday some action. Our successful experiments in Gujarat has been that system has not crashed, has not been attacked, has not been talked about. And people definitely must have tried hard. So success so far has been little, but it has been there. So we are asking them to download a mobile application, and through mobile application they will be able to cast their, they will be able to register themselves online. And once they register online, they will get the same link and logins on their PCs that we are talking about. On the day of voting, they go to the link, they view the digital ballot, because the moment they use their user ID password, I am able to display the ballot paper of his own ward. He can select the candidate. The moment he submits, he gets an OTP which has a validity. He passes the, puts in the OTP, and the vote is cast and he gets a successful receipt. In the e-polling booth that we are planning to deploy this October for the local elections, we are setting up, because we have been talking about home-based voting, where all kinds of threats are possible. Now we are talking of maybe a 50 PC or a 20 PC or a 30 PC computer room setup in a college, which will be converted into electronic booth, where the physical verification of the voter and the password and all those things continues the way it is, except for that I will not need his MAC address and I will allow my own infrastructure to be used to cast the vote. For example, I can set up an e-kiosk at railway station, at a college, or at any remote place where I think there are a lot of people from multiple wards present there. So it is a controlled environment where I'm not exposing PCs of residents, but from the booth part of it. And that is what we are talking about. He will be able to view his ballot paper, confirm the vote by answering SMS, and get a receipt successfully. Now these are the screenshots of the system that we had deployed. It's talking about login password. We have also created, by the way, a help desk on that day. And on the first election on 10th October 2010, we actually had 124 voters registered. And there were about 20 calls from people who had registered saying, I'm not able, I got my PC replaced, I got my OS updated, I got this done, they had done problems. So we were able to support them by TeamViewer and fix those problems in the system, and we were able to. So we have also decided to carry on with our help desk system to support the e-voters that come in. So this is a ballot paper that the person can see on the desktop. This is, and once he selects the selected candidate, he gets the option of submit or review. He gets the names that he has selected displayed on the screen. If he agrees with this name, he can carry on with confirmation. If he wants to change, he goes back to the previous screen. Once he submits, he gets an OTP. He will be able to type in his OTP, and this is the electronic receipt that he gets at his own client and PC. So benefits I will again skip, and these are some of the numbers that we are talking about. In October 2010, we only opened up one ward per municipal corporation. The numbers look very different, but we are focusing only on the last column, which is percentage of voters who registered for online voting and the number of people who casted their vote. So all we are saying is the younger population who have expressed the desire, the voting percentages have gone up. I think we have a better result in 2011 where the percentage of people who registered casted vote, and then we have some very good wards where 100% of the registered voters actually exercise their vote on the system. So what are we talking about? We are actually talking about the learning that we have got is multi-purpose e-polling booths so that I control the client environment as well. Server is definitely under my control and client environment is also under my control. The network connectivity is through an ISP provider and we have tools to monitor the traffic. E-polling booths, armed forces, government employees while on duty can do it and employees with their families on missions can do it. One of the important thing and the last point that I want to cover is there was a mention in the morning about the cost aspect of it. And my humble submission is that every project has a capital cost. I think taking the capital cost and dividing by the number of users will definitely lead to astronomical numbers for whatever you take it. Take this building 500 crores, how many people? 100. Per head, 1 crore or whatever the number. So the whole thing, and secondly, why did we do that? Because there was a PIL, the government wanted to be very safe and said we will set up another data center which costed them a huge amount. But an exclusive data center was set up only for this, which is reusable and used for multiple things. If you were to honestly ask me what is the cost per vote of the system that would come if it is used to the right thing, maybe it is 1 rupee to 5 rupees. It will be a variable cost that we are going to use it. Only because the usage is low, the cost will look astronomical. And we have to also bear in mind if government is talking about compulsory voting and penalizing people who do not vote by withdrawing the subsidy. There are some talks going on in the press about it. What is an option? There has to be an e-voting. There has to be an e-voting. And probably it was with that kind of a vision that can we bring people, young people who don't take interest in elections, who are busy at their offices, give them an option to cast their vote electronically and increase the voting percentages. And very consciously we agreed that it will not be the only channel, it is an additional channel. So people who trust, people who believe have come on the system and that is how the system ran. So thank you so much, and this is the experience that people shared with us who casted their vote.